Puerto Rico has always been known for its high murder rate, but it appears that the FBI and local authorities have had enough, with the FBI regularly intervening on the island, and this has actually yielded some results, with the homicide rate steadily dropping since 2021, which was a very dangerous year for many cities in the US. Now, El Burro, who was also accused of dismembering rivals and dumping their remains in ravines, was eventually caught along with much of his organization just months before the indictment against C. Dobleta and the La Familia Alliance. And while the Devils of Llorens are likely still active, many members of Los Viros, El Burro's main rivals, have been arrested. Puerto Rico, named by Columbus for Saint. This is also why many Puerto Ricans refer to themselves as Boricua. Also going by the name, the Land of Enchantment, it's hard not to see why. But unfortunately, since the US refuses to make it a state, despite most of its residents supporting the idea, Puerto Rico misses out on much of the positive aspects of statehood. It receives lower Social Security for its retirees and Medicare, despite being more populous than many US states, and the territory also can't be bailed out by the federal government like other states, as being a territory, it cannot file for bankruptcy. US citizens of Puerto Rico also cannot vote for representatives or senators, and all of this plays a role when the island needs help, receiving little from the federal government after suffering back-to-back hurricanes only 2 weeks apart in 2017, which knocked out 95% of all cell service, 43% of wastewater treatment, 97% of all roads were blocked off, and nearly 30% of all healthcare facilities were damaged. President Trump at the time even insisted that FEMA and first responders spent too much time in Puerto Rico in the aftermath. But it's not his fault. The US has been mistreating the island since long before President Trump was even born. Here's a horrifying image of the power grid in Puerto Rico before and after the storms. Since 1898, the island has essentially been a third world colony of a first world nation. When I visited San Juan as a tourist, I was dining at an outdoor restaurant, watching a festival take place in the streets thinking, man, this has to be the most beautiful place I've ever visited in my entire life. Then, to snap me back to reality, a homeless man approached us with a large infected mass growing on his arm, begging us to help him. I was only 10 at the time and obviously unable to help, but I'll never be able to forget the contrast of a suffering man on the beautiful island. And almost 10 years later, I find myself wondering if he's even still alive.